guys, welcome to Cult Film and Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love, but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, who is the meanest?
Cult Film.
Who is the prettiest?
Cult Film.
Who is the baddest mofo low down around this town?
Cult Film.
Because we're talking about The Last Dragon, so let's start the show. Hey guys, thanks for joining the cult. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. We will give you a shout out at the end of the show. Then when you're done with that, head over to cultfilmandreview.com, pick up a t-shirt, check out some videos, maybe even, check out a rating review, put in a review, a request. Put in your request for a film for us to review. Let's see how many times we can say review.
I don't even know we did.
What's going on?
Leave a food review.
And then after that, make sure you join us on September 13th at the Phoenix Film Bar. After that, make sure you join us September 13th at the Phoenix Film Bar for The Burning. Make sure you're there. They can get tickets where, Chris?
Thefilmbarphx.com.
That's right. New start time, 8 p.m., everyone. Make sure that you're aware of that. 8 p.m. Going to be a good time. Start early, but still great.
Leaves more time to hang out and chat.
Dude, you know what? That's what I'm looking forward to. Hanging out with all our pals.
That's all we care about as the fans. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
We don't even watch these
It's going to be
movies.
us drinking in a corner, not talking to anyone.
Yeah.
That's usually what we do. Come get a headshot.
I think that's cool. Get a headshot.
All right, guys. We are going to be talking about what the movie we're doing here. The Last Dragon. That's what we're going to talk about. All right, here we go. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to talk about Last Dragon, but before we do, as always, I am joined by Kyle Smith,
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Wilbright,
Hey, what's up?
and Michael Salustio.
Hello, everybody.
We are talking about Last Dragon. It was directed by Michael Schultz. Came out in 1985. Had a budget of $10 million. Made $33 million in the box office. Has a rating of PG and currently sits at a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. This was a fan pick.
This was a double fan pick.
Double fan pick.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this came to us from James Hernandez and Wayne Halligan. James Hernandez went on to say, "This should be on the Mount Rushmore of cult movies. Box office flop, corny plot, iconic villain, quotable lines, martial arts. It has everything." And Wayne said, "Show enough, the Shogun of Harlem."
That's all you need to really say.
That's all you need to say, really.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Don't know what's happening.
Has anyone not seen The Last Dragon before?
Yes, I have not seen this
You
movie
have not
before.
seen this movie before, Chris. So
Never
this
seen
is
it.
your first watch,
First
huh?
watch, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I actually only heard of it because Mike brought it up a few times in the past few months.
What? You've never even heard of this film?
I
Before
mean,
me?
I heard the title The Last Dragon, not at all what I thought it was.
okay,
Like,
all right.
not at all what I thought it was, yeah, so.
This is my first time watching it all the way through.
Oh.
I remember this movie all the way back to the video store days, and I always wanted to check it out. But when I finally sat down and watched it, which couldn't have been more than 5 years ago, after about maybe 30 minutes in, I was just like, yeah, you know what? This is not at all what I was expecting, and I don't think I was mentally prepared for that. And I was just like, I'm going to do something else. I'll come back to it at a later date. So this is the first time I actually sat down and watched it start to finish.
Well, I'm glad we forced you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the funny thing. I had thought I had seen The Last Dragon. I was about 100% sure I had seen The Last Dragon. And then I watched The Last Dragon. I was like, man, I have not seen The Last Dragon.
Are you thinking of the story of Bruce Lee?
No, I think
The dragon?
No, I think this movie, I've seen so many clips and other things from pop culture about this movie that I thought I fucking saw this movie.
Nice.
And so, I mean, there's stuff I remember from it, and I'm like, how do I remember that? And it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that in a clip show. Like, I don't remember the whole middle part of this movie. What about you, Mike?
Like a lot of times. I was going to say 100, but I was like, that's a little bit over the top. Like 10 times.
You're like 90.
I've seen it a lot of times.
That's a lot of times.
A lot of times.
Yes.
90.
Yeah,
When did you first see it?
like as a kid, like my brother and I saw it, and we used to like
Rented it from the video store?
No. I think it was just something that was on cable.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we would like watch it anytime it was on. It's like, oh, Last Dragon. Oh my god, cool, man. Like we were super into this film. So yeah, let's estimate 10 times. Cody, that I've
We'll
seen
mark
this
it
film.
down, Mike.
Put it as law.
Henceforth, let it know this day be.
Thy 10th time watching The Last Dragon.
All right, well, you know what? We should probably tell the people what this movie is about. So it's time for Plots with Mike.
Okay. Last Dragon. It stars it doesn't star. It is a film about Leroy Green. He's a young martial artist, and his master, he reaches like the top peak level, I guess, of masterhood in martial arts. And he doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe that he's attained this yet. And the old man said, "No, trust me. You're there. It's within you. You just need to figure it out. Go seek this other master, some dumb goy." Okay, and he will teach you. The ways to like access the glowing power that is the Last Dragon. It also turns out that Leroy is like a huge Bruce Lee fan. Anytime he sees him, he gets really too excited. And he comes in contact with Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, who challenges him constantly, but he's always kind of like above it all. He doesn't want to fight. And then who's the guy? Arcadian?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Eddie Arcadian, who is the other villain, who is trying to get his girlfriend's video on this really popular kind of like a Soul Train show. And what's her name? I only know her as Vanity. Laura.
Yeah.
And it's run by Laura. And God, there's a lot to this fucking
Yeah,
film.
but you're getting through it. You're getting through it.
So anyways, he tries to get her to do this. He starts harassing her, and Leroy starts defending her. Turns out Shonuff and this guy team up to try to stop Leroy, and that's pretty much the film, is they make his life a living hell in Harlem.
Living Hell in Harlem. Was that the tagline for this movie?
Been a good one. Man, that was a lot of shit.
It's good.
Did I cover everything?
Yeah,
I feel like I
you
covered
fine.
pretty much
all
You did
four
fine.
corners of this film.
Yeah, you did
All
fine.
4 corners. With that being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about The Last Dragon. And we're back. We're talking about The Last Dragon here on Cult Film and Review.
Jeez, it's really monotone in this shit, huh?
Bring it up a notch.
And we're back. We're talking about The Last Dragon. $10 million budget made $33 million
Yeah, which you
in the
know,
box office.
like I guess this wasn't technically a
no,
flop.
this is not a
then.
flop.
Yeah,
No, it
Probably
was
a critical flop.
It was a critical flop, but it was financially successful.
yeah.
Yeah, this movie is
Well, first, can we kind of say this is usually called Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon?
Yeah.
It's often referred to that. And Barry Gordy, he is a record producer, right?
Yeah,
is that
he's-
correct?
Yeah, he's the owner of
Motown
Motown
Records.
Records.
Yes, right. So, like, was this the only movie that he really threw his name behind?
That's a good question, because I don't know any other Barry Gordy movies.
Yeah.
I want to say yes, but that's a soft yes.
Interesting.
I'm sure we could Google it because we all have computers sitting right in front of our
Like I
faces.
feel
right
like
now.
I feel like he definitely produced more films.
And that certainly shows
But,
that he comes
yeah.
from the music industry because this film is full of
this,
music.
This movie was made to sell music.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
so DeBarge is in this and they did that.
Hell yeah, that song is badass.
I was like, is that where this came from? Like, this song, did it get its start on this?
I thought the
in this
same
movie?
thing, and I'm like, it can't be. It can't
Rhythm
be that
of the Night?
every time Rhythm of the Night comes on,
Yeah.
there's a person out there that goes, remember when that film came out and the song was first played?
Yeah.
That
Well,
karate movie?
Remember how none of us
Was that
knew?
a karate movie?
Remember how lonely we were and none of us knew who DeBarge was?
And then we learned
And then we learned
in
because
that karate movie?
that fucking karate movie, dude.
I don't know. That's like a big hit, man. That's like a classic
Huge.
song.
It looks like going through his stuff. I mean, there's a couple TV specials, but he played executive producer, obviously, on this film, and then prior he's uncredited, but is executive producer on The Wiz.
I knew it was going to be The Wiz. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be The Wiz. Like, I was like, it's got to be The Wiz, right? Like, all of Motown's in that film.
Says he directed something called Mahogany in 1975. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Tracy and
Yeah.
Aspiring. Oh, it's a movie.
Going back to the music though, real quick.
Yes.
Everybody else's songs though, like Vanity song, that one's real rough.
well,
That song, the lyrics make no goddamn
Yeah.
It
No.
sounds like spoken word poetry, but with like music.
Oh, even her facial expressions are off. It's a real weird performance too, man. The whole thing was
Yeah.
real weird.
Yeah.
And it's like right in the middle of the film. You're like, what is going on here?
I'm like, okay, she was part of you hanging out with Prince. Okay, maybe there could be, maybe it's just
The other one,
being a crazy artist.
What's one of the lyrics? It's like, never put an angel on a fire.
Yeah.
Is that the line?
I think so.
Definitely in there. Yeah.
I gotta say though, being a huge fan of like Motown, and I guess I realized that I'm not a fan of 80s Motown or the 80s stuff, because I was like, oh, this will be great. I get some great like Motown soul kind of music in here. Didn't have any of that. It was like all poppy 80s. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's
Was
stuff
that-
that I wasn't like
Yeah.
a big fan of at all.
Definitely 1985, smack dab in the middle of, the 80s.
Yeah, and the story,
That's where 85 is.
the
Yep.
story's
it is.
the story's real weird, man. Because so I get the sense that our main character, he's been training for I don't know how long in the martial arts.
His whole life, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
Yeah, that's what I would
He
think, because
wants
he
to-
doesn't know how to like
He doesn't know how to
act in
function.
society.
That's the weird
and
thing.
Clearly
That's
doesn't
why I
know
don't,
what sex is.
That's the weird thing I don't get, man. I'm like, what? How does this kid like? I'm like, how's everybody else normal in his family? But he's like,
I saw it like a savant kind of thing.
I thought he's following Bruce Lee's way. Like,
Yeah, that's what I thought,
way of
too.
martial arts. It's all it's one
he
with
have to
yourself, and like you're very introspective on you're conscious of your feelings and all that shit. So it's like he spent more time developing his inner self as opposed to learning how to talk to people.
I think that's got to be true. I mean, they don't give a lot of background, but I
Yeah.
mean, it goes in line what I feel like this is it's a huge homage to Bruce Lee
huge,
films.
almost almost
big
too
time.
much.
Yeah. I can see that as being an
Yeah.
argument, because a lot of these, it's not like that whole era where it was, what do they call those Bruceploitation films? Is it that what they were called?
where there was like the fake Bruce Lee.
It was always the fake Bruce Lee's. And they would-
I've never heard that
I don't know.
that term
That's
before,
that's
but
funny.
If I
I
made
Put
it
it on
up,
a t-shirt.
if
Put it
I
on
made
a
it up,
t-shirt.
fucking awesome. But
Bruce
Bring back
Bruceploitation.
Bruce Exploitation.
Oh my God.
exploitation films, it might be. I don't know. Anyway, so it's not like one of those. It doesn't feel like it's just like, hey, we
No,
got to get
not
a
at
guy
all.
that like kind of like does
No.
like a Bruce Lee thing and it'll sell the movie on it.
Right.
It definitely feels more like the feeling behind the film is that they want to like idolize Bruce Lee.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought what was really interesting about a lot of the music and like the imagery they would show from Bruce Lee films in this, like the way they would cut it and time it all up, it really showcased how rhythmic Bruce Lee was as, a martial artist, and how, and I think they were actually trying to point that out, that like maybe there was an influence, like an unconscious influence, on like that Bruce Lee had on music in general in a weird way. I kind of saw this weird correlation between the two, the way how they made him match up in the film.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but I mean, you describing it, I can definitely.
It's way
get
deeper
that.
than I ever went into any of that part. of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were really trying to say something about like the music and the rhythm of the music and the rhythm of Bruce Lee as a martial artist.
That's you're talking about the video she shows him.
The videos and also like the cuts of just him, like, thinking about him in his mind and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just anytime you would see a clip from a Bruce Lee film.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I have to look for that again. I definitely wasn't looking for that,
Yeah.
but I will say that
Deep as fuck.
it was very deep reading of like it's like how music and his motions were one. It's like when you play.
Fuck Gone with the Wind.
Well, also
It's
there's
like when you play In a Black Room to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and you realize that it just cues right the fuck up. No, but can I say one other thing about this film though? It like the interesting thing about this is that this is not a film that is being made during the heyday of kung fu movies.
right
Like this is like
later.
kind of like towards the tail end of it. Like
Yeah.
kung fu's not super popular anymore, right? At this point,
85, yeah.
85.
it's not the same as like the Enter the Dragon era and like how big it was in the 70s and
No,
how
I
kung
think
fu was
like
a big thing.
Shaw Brothers era of stuff that you're referring to is
Yeah.
kind of has kind of petered out, and what's happened is like there's a lot of American action stars who are
Right,
So
this is
instead
like
of
the
importing
Arnold
these,
and
they're
the
creating their own
Stallone
stuff.
era
Yeah.
of action films. So
Yeah.
it's like an interesting thing to see a film that is clearly like paying an homage to all these kung fu films, but
Yeah.
and it makes it kind of feel like a 70s film.
Mhm.
But this is like 1985. Like this is.
Yeah,
You
there
would think this would be over by
There
now.
are definitely scenes in it that I thought like 70s for sure. In
Oh,
this
like big
movies.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, huge, man. I like anytime they're walking around the city, I'm like, 85? Really? Okay. Like,
It definitely doesn't feel like a film from 1985.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't at
Yeah.
all. I was really surprised. I'm like, the image looks so clean and
The only thing that really kind of makes it feel like 1985 is that anytime they're in Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
Seventh
true.
Heaven and Arcadian's office. Those are both the two places where I'm just
Reek
like,
of 80s.
fucking 80s.
Arcadian? Am I saying that right?
Arcadian?
Fucking cool ass villain name. Terrible looking villain, but cool ass villain name.
Terrible.
That's just a waste of a good name, man. That's a great name. That should be in a cartoon.
why didn't you like the way he looked too goofy?
I just not threatening enough.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He reminded me a little bit of like like a more ridiculous Noah arcade, like from Wayne's World. You know?
I don't think
I mean,
so.
that's essentially
I don't
that-
think so.
that's essentially what he is, man.
Yeah,
That's essentially
exactly.
what
He's just
is.
the evil version of
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
I like how he gives like quarters to the backup singers. He's like, here you go, ladies.
Yeah, he's like a slimy
just kept-
version of Noah.
I kept thinking of Clint Howard. I'm like, Clint Howard could have been a good business character. No? Okay.
Thinking, I was like,
Fucking quiet.
I was like, thinking about it, I was
me.
like, I don't know, maybe. Never really thought about that, but I guess so. Yeah.
Jesus.
Guess you're just not a Clint Howard
We-
fan. Fuck him.
Either
Clint
that,
Howard, I'm
Fuck
either
him,
that
right?
was a bad suggestion or we're just not on tonight.
It's all good. It's Monday.
Got a case of the
Oh.
Mondays.
Man, no, that's a terrible choice.
we were talking about. What?
It was a terrible choice.
No, I'm thinking George Clooney. That's who I'm thinking. Perfect
Wow.
choice.
Yeah, you're in a weird
George
mood for sure.
Clooney.
I'm thinking classically trained
I'm thinking
actor.
Jack Nicholson.
I'm thinking classically trained
No
actor
makeup.
Ashton Kutcher. Maybe you heard of him, Ashton Kutcher.
Are we playing a game of how would you like cast it now? Except we're only using like the most ridiculous A-listers. Okay, instead of Timac, we're going with Denzel Washington. Like it's just the most ridiculous. George Clooney.
Yeah.
So like the entire cast of Ocean's 11.
I liked him as a villain. I actually thought he played like that over the top, like crazy, almost comic booky
Yeah.
villain well, and I liked it. I thought it was entertaining.
His girlfriend was my favorite.
Yeah,
Dude, and
Cyndi
her-
Lauper.
Her fucking music video too is so goddamn funny.
Her
Slash
her
Madonna.
song is fucking funny.
It's pretty funny.
Is it about finding your porn stash?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I
fucking
really
hilarious.
liked
So great.
her where she went though as a character. Like she's funny because she seems so
She
ditzy
develops.
and stupid.
She develops. She has a character arc. It's
She does.
fantastic.
She does,
Like-
and you show how tough she can be. You know when she stands up to Eddie.
She has like a, what is it, Miss Tessmacher moment? Like, was like that in Superman. Like, she's kind of like the henchman
Both
the whole
of it.
time, but at the end,
Turns against him.
well, like she has a heart
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
But this one, I feel like it goes even further. Like, there's that monologue she gives him
Mhm.
about why he's really doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like really well written. Like,
No, dude.
Yeah.
That was a deep ass fucking
It's-
monologue.
I would argue it's not even just that scene in this movie. I feel like there's many scenes that are very well written in this movie.
Yeah, like
that
I was
one
really
that
surprised.
One was
But
for
is it,
sure.
But let me ask you this: is it ever really with our main character?
Yes, I think so. That scene when he's finally decided that he's gonna go fight and he's like training and he's like he's listing off all like the code of the I guess all the shit that he learned and he's kind of fighting through it. It's how I imagine. He's punching the bag and he's saying I don't know what he's saying. I've only seen this movie one time, but
he's reading off the the teachings of his master, but he's like getting out of his system because he's angry. He's just gotta get that energy out so he doesn't actually
Yeah.
use his martial arts for fighting.
it's a simple idea, but to me, that I don't know, for a first time watcher, like that part resonated with me as a very well written, good idea for this
Dude,
character because he's so trying to resist the urge to fight back, as part of his, I guess, his personal ethics and code.
I remember as a kid when he walks in and he finds out that Some Dumb Goy is a robot machine.
Yeah.
Like being sad, like being a kid and being like, man, that's fucked up, man.
I was sad.
Timac never really got to see the true master.
I was sad by the way his brother treats him. Like in the beginning.
That's true.
You know, the way he's telling him, like, you're an idiot. I don't want to be around you. You can't hang around me and shit like that. And I was like, it's an interesting dynamic because he's the younger brother and he's telling the older brother, almost like he's the grown up, you know? And he's saying, you can't hang around me and shit.
Because he can't function in society correctly.
That's the thing I don't understand about this. I understand that, like, they're playing up the whole, like, he's like Zen kind of, and he's like calm like Bruce Lee is and all this other stuff.
Right.
But they make him like he doesn't understand how
the
world works.
Yeah, they make him seem like he's slow. Like a little slow.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say slow, no.
Just like so outside of the like you would if this was a movie where it was just like Bruce Lee got sent into the future into 1985 and was walking around in it, like
it just seems like
he would have a better time.
That's what I'm saying. Like Bruce Lee would adapt. This kid is not adapting.
Like he doesn't understand.
This kid does adapt. I feel like throughout the film, he adapts to what he's capable of. But he just feels like a character who, rightfully so, exactly as his character has spent the majority of his life in a like fucking monk temple training martial arts, like and like has
he
no
must have been there
interaction
every day.
with the outside. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Like, but yet his parents are not like
supportive.
His parents,
so
his
it's
parents
really
are
weird. We
super
don't
supportive.
see you.
His parents are super supportive because he's like he's not misbehaving.
What?
He's responsible. Like they're like, and he bows to them, and he's very like.
But he still would have.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I guess they are standing up
still
for him when his
know-
brother's talking shit to him.
Yeah.
He would still know, like, he acts like he doesn't know American culture. And I feel like he would still know American culture because he would have to watch these Bruce Lee movies to idolize Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but Bruce Lee movies don't sell American culture in the slightest.
No, as far as just like he would have to go somewhere to see these movies. The 85 probably didn't have a VCR, probably had to go see these movies in the theater.
Well,
had to interact with fucking people. He acts like it's the first time he's ever walked
like they
stepped
make
a fucking foot in, somewhere public.
They make a point to say he doesn't understand sex.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a level where it's just like, okay.
I think what they're
Like he's so far removed from the world that he doesn't even understand how procreation works.
I don't think that's it. I think he understands what sex is and is aware of sex. Is that the point they're making is that he has absolutely no experience talking to women. He has no game.
Moves.
That was the moves is what they were saying in the movie. He has no experience. He's never been on a date with anyone. He's never had any interaction with a woman before. In a romantic way, and that's the angle that they were trying to drive home in this movie.
I would like to circle back to this at some point.
Okay.
Because there's a scene in this movie that perplexes me.
Okay.
He's perplexed.
And I imagine we'll get there pretty soon.
He is perplexed.
Did you just throw an ED at the end of that?
Perplexed.
I don't think I said perplexed.
Now let's talk about the real star of this movie, if we could, please.
I was wondering when this was coming up.
All
Okay,
right.
who?
That's the villain.
Shown up.
Which one?
Shown up.
Okay, just making sure.
Shown up.
There was definitely a
Shown
wrong answer
up.
there.
There's no other answer.
I think when people who know this movie, it's the first thing they think of.
He's
is-
the icon
He's
of
the
it.
icon.
Yeah.
He is 100% the icon.
yeah, not many people are remembering Bruce Leroy. I think
Yep.
it's all about showing up.
But Busta Rhymes did not dress up like Bruce Leroy for a music video. He dressed up like Shown Up.
That's true.
I feel like Shown Up in his own right is kind of an idol in cinema. You know, number one, he's badass at fucking fighting.
Yeah.
He's memorable as hell.
Well, because he's how tall is he? 6'11"?
I have no
The
idea.
dude looks like a giant on
his
film.
look is awesome. You know, it's just like he's just so well put.
He had so many badass shoulder pad changes. Like seriously,
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Those sunglasses he wore that were just like the
see-through.
see-through
Oh
ones.
man,
I'm just like, that wouldn't work out here.
kiss my Converse. I was like, dude, that's
but can I say,
the real hero.
like if it was understood that he was this was a gang that was controlling the streets, like he was doing a terrible job at it.
Why?
Like because everywhere he was at, some people didn't know who the fuck he was.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was constantly being
Well,
challenged.
he said he was back. Like
Yeah,
I got
like,
the
yeah.
impression that he was like either in jail or he's gone somewhere for a
So
while.
that was the
He
understood,
wanted to
and
be
he was trying to
challenged.
take the. But it seemed like people didn't know who he kind of was.
Yeah.
How long was he gone?
As long as it takes to forget
Couple
someone, I
days.
guess.
Couple
It
days.
just, he got his gang back together. Everybody was on his team, and he's running around. It just seemed like
I mean,
feel
his
like
gang was
he
like 5
doesn't-
people. It never grew.
Right, that's what I'm
No.
saying. Like, I feel like he didn't really have the ability.
He seems like he was like a new player in town.
He
and
hadn't
he was rebuilding his gang.
invested in his infrastructure enough, I would say.
He did. He had 5 people.
Take
Do you know how
over
much?
a neighborhood.
Do you know how much payroll 5 people alone will cost him?
Listen, dude, Shredder had a hard enough time doing it with the whole Foot Clan.
He had like an unlimited supply of ninjas, and he
Yeah.
couldn't take over New York.
Yeah.
You know, what's show nothing with
He's
5
got
people?
5
Yeah, you got
guys,
5
and none of them
guys.
fight really except
Yeah.
for him.
It's almost
when you're
downright
after the glow,
disrespectful.
you don't need a lot of people backing you up.
Oh, when you got the glow, that's true.
That's true.
That
By the
is
way,
true.
do they explain how he gets the glow?
Well, because he
No.
knows he's a master. I think once you realize and know that you are a master,
Yeah.
but he's just an evil master.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because that's when Bruce Leroy gets the glow. He realizes, oh shit, I am the fucking master,
number
and
one-
now I got the glow.
did not see the glow coming out. I just didn't imagine that's what it would be. I don't know
Oh,
why.
Like a line stenciled around
Dude, I
him.
did not know why I did not say like they're gonna 80s the fuck out of the glow, but I didn't. And then when it happened, I was just like, well, this is fan fucking tastic. this is
Dude, I gotta say, like,
my favorite
part. The
fucking
electric and shit?
Show Nuff's glow when he's punching him and the sparks are flying. That looked pretty dope.
I thought it
It's
looked
like
dope
my
as
favorite.
fuck.
It's my favorite fight. My favorite fight scene in the movie is that fight scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's because of
definitely
the glow.
best. Yeah,
I don't
fight
know,
scene.
man. There's I gotta give mad props to the fucking 4-year-old that's whooping ass on the stage at the
Dude.
studio,
That's
whatever
that's
that
Eddie
was.
Reyes Jr.
Huh?
Eddie Reyes Jr. Dude, he
That
was in
little kid?
Ninja Turtles. He was in. This is his first role.
Really?
He was like a
Whoa.
huge '80s star. He was in.
Surf Ninjas.
He was in Surf Ninjas.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But there was another film that he was like really popular in. I mean, and he was in I think in Donatello's costume as one of the people. And then he was in Secret of the Ooze.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
He was a little kid in Secret of the Ooze. But I think in 3 was he in the? No. He wasn't ever in the costume. I think his father was. I don't know. Anyways.
Martial arts master, huh?
Dude,
As
he
a
was-
child.
Yeah,
he
no,
was
and this is
whooping
his,
some
yeah, this is
ass.
his like film debut. Is this
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, well, I could see.
And you could tell they were like, "Hey, man, we got this kid that can do like fucking backflips
Yeah.
and kicks and shit.
Yeah.
How about we just give him a whole fucking scene?"
everything he does looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing for sure. Show
And
Enough,
it-
did we get off Show Enough? Are
No,
we
we're
off
still
him?
we're still on show enough.
Do you-
We're
well,
never
back to
gonna
the
get off
glow.
Show Enough.
Back to the glow. I mean, well, no, not even to the glow. Anytime Show Enough showed
up.
up, I was like, all smiles. I was like, here we go. This is gonna be great. Because the one thing I actually didn't expect from this movie going in was the comedy element to it. I did not expect that. Like, there's a lot of things I didn't expect from this, but that I didn't see, and I actually liked. I thought it really worked well in
See,
this movie.
I always knew it was like a satire kind of like film.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting mix of blaxploitation and
yeah,
kung fu movies from the 70s. I
Yeah.
mean, but again, yeah, I definitely feel like it is an homage film. It's not
Yes, I agree with. I would
not
agree with
necessarily
that.
something that's. I mean, there are definitely some areas where it's like they're making fun of stuff. Like when he's eating like fucking popcorn with chopsticks and shit. You're kind of like, okay,
yeah.
like
Well, they don't shy away from like slang stereotypes.
No,
like
no,
they
no,
don't
no.
like.
But
There's a
that's-
lot of that going on in the
But
dialogue.
I would
in
say
here.
that's the blaxploitation elements
Yeah.
of this film rather than the kung fu elements
Right.
of this.
Mhm.
But
yeah.
no, I think I agree with Mike. I would be more apt to refer to this as paying homage as opposed to a satire film.
Like,
That's what
Yeah.
Cody was saying.
yeah, I
paying
don't.
homage
Because
to a
what is it
satire?
satirizing?
No, it's an homage to, like Mike
I
said,
think- I think
blaxploitation and kung fu.
Those kung fu films.
that?
I think those kung fu films. I think that's where some of the
I would say a
comedy comes from.
satire would be more like Shaolin Soccer or something. That's more of like a kung fu satire film. This feels like it's pulling a lot of different elements, and they're not overtly making fun of it as much as they're kind of like propping it up,
Yeah.
but also with a small bit calling out some of the more ridiculous shit from those era of films.
I mean,
well,
there's
so.
some trauma level acting in this, and from some
Oh,
of the
man.
goons, like in the
Dude,
gang and
when
stuff.
The goons,
like,
when the
Definitely.
goons go tear up the pizza shop, that is some trauma level acting right there. I'm like, that dude's struggling to break that.
Dude, he tries to crack the table with his hand, with his
Yeah.
arm, just like, ooh, that thing did not give.
But there's some great things that they do, like that surprise me. Like when they're at the end of that pizza shop scene when he just kicks the other pane of the glass, and I'm like, yeah, it's just this is little shit I didn't see coming in this movie. You know, that made me go, okay. Just like it has a lot of fun moments and badass moments.
Fun moments, badass moments. With that being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about The Last Dragon. And we're back. We're talking about Last Dragon. Let's get into the club scene towards the end. Is it towards the end or the middle?
It's like the middle. It's
Middle
the
third?
middle third. That's good. That's a good one.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
towards the end of the middle third.
Yeah.
Before the last act.
I think we're in limbo now. I don't even think we're at the end of the middle third. I think that was like a paradox, like a robot somewhere exploded.
It's like the second time they go to the club, or the
Yeah,
third
the middle
time.
third.
Yeah. Some robot at Boston Dynamics just freaked out, started killing people.
Logic bombed the
Middle
fucking robot.
third.
I've been spending my entire career on that robot. Sorry. No, it's a weird scene, man. And
No. I mean, Vanity's character tries to swoon
correct.
our main character,
Woo him,
woo him,
if you will.
Yeah, woo him, and invites him down. He's like, "I've got something amazing to show you.
Yes.
You have to see this." And presumably, this is something that she put together. I'm
That's
under the
what I
impression.
gathered is
Yeah.
that she's a great editor.
Yes.
Yeah, she wrote a song, recorded it, edited together a
Yeah.
music video for
Multimedia
it.
artist.
Yeah.
She went to Scottsdale Community College.
Jesus, what?
Yeah.
What?
Stupid.
Did she
Also,
really,
a
or did you make that up?
non-sponsor of
Yeah.
our show.
Went to Scottsdale
Yeah.
Community College, and that's where she learned to edit.
I kind
Such
of
a
like
weird
that she
thing.
was pursuing him. I thought that was kind of interesting that she was like,
Well, yeah, because
But here's
Because he's a robot. He has no feelings.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out about this scene. This is where the scene got real weird, because it is a weird scene, right? I think she's under the impression too. It's part of this whole like I don't think he understands how sex works,
mhm.
and as you're watching the edit of this and towards the end of it, did anyone get the impression that this was edited in such a way that it was supposed to give him an idea of what to do with a woman?
well, no, because the whole
Yeah,
song,
like-
the whole song is about the glow. Like,
It's all about no. It's,
and honestly, there's only one scene where Bruce Lee is at the end when he kisses a girl from
Right, but that
I think it's
also
Big
is the
Boss.
scene where she's kind of like, huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
no, Kyle, because
She gives him a look
yeah,
like,
but they kiss
like over
before
there.
that, right?
But he
No,
also-
I think that
Mm-mm.
they're about to kiss,
Yeah.
and he's looking like all weird,
Yeah.
and gets all weird, and she's looking at him like, see, like what's going on up there? That's what that's what you do to me now.
Right,
right, what's
Right.
Bruce Lee doing the whole time too? And
He's
martial
fighting
arts.
it first.
he's swinging around nunchucks, hitting people in the face. So he's swinging around wood,
Oh God,
Jesus
and he's hitting them in the
Christ.
face with it.
Jesus Christ.
Man, that was a long con.
Well, what's the part where he realizes that he needs to disguise himself to get to the master?
When he realizes,
Oh, we're not done. I don't want to be. Are we done
yeah,
on that scene?
no, we're not.
Okay,
I
I
don't
just
wanna
didn't know
be
where
done
that
on
came.
that
I don't know
scene.
where that came
Because that came from that whole.
It comes from
It
that,
comes from
right?
this scene because then he sees that
So
that Bruce
For
Lee.
clarity of anybody who hasn't seen this film, it's a montage of all of Bruce Lee's
We're basically
films.
watching Bruce Lee watch Bruce Lee whoop some ass,
Yes.
and Bruce Lee Roy is having some of the most strange expressions on his face. So he looks like he's almost euphoric
Yeah.
in what he's watching, and to the point where I was like, that's kind of weird.
orgasmic, would you say?
Yes.
sure.
To a degree.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's so elated about this whole thing. It's almost like we get the idea that he's watched these films a number of times, obviously, but like his reaction is like a child
Mhm.
sees something like, "Here's your fucking new first bike."
Right.
He's like, "Oh my god, it was like fucking nuts!" And he's
Right.
doing the fucking Bruce Lee sounds and stuff. And at no point is Vanity, by the way, like, well, this is really unattractive. Like,
No, she
Yeah.
likes it.
maybe I
Yeah,
shouldn't.
that's the weird thing too. Is
done
she's
this.
like, this is working perfectly, exactly how I
She's
planned.
that's how she's communicating with him. That's his language, is
Right.
Bruce Lee, and
That's
she's
what
like,
I'm
"This
gathering.
is
Right.
how
so
you
now we get towards
make moves on a woman based on what you know about Bruce Lee."
Okay, so we addressed that, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now comes what you were talking about, which is Bruce Leroy says, "Oh my God, the Chinese connection! I remember this." He dresses up and he goes into a thing, right?
Mhm.
And he leaves, and then the last two cuts is Vanity with a face
Yeah,
like oh man,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like Bruce Lee moving his hands around
Yeah.
in slow motion,
right.
and then an opening of a flower.
Right. That was the part
And
that
a part
was
of me was kind of like,
he missed the flower
was
part.
the point of this where she's like, okay, so it starts with a kiss, and then you move your hands around me like this, and then my pussy explodes.
Pretty much.
I thought the same thing.
Pretty
I
much.
I
was
thought the
like,
same thing. I was like, oh
what?
man, he left before the flower.
Yeah. That was like her stamp. Like, and that's what sex is.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going tonight because we've been dating for 2 months.
All right, guys, what do you say we rate this mammer jammer?
Oh, did you want to talk about something else, Chris? I thought.
Did I? That was what I brought up. Was that scene? Was
The Chinese connection.
Yeah.
He said he
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
That
We didn't
is-
really talk about the end at all.
We
but-
haven't talked
yeah.
about the end. Do you want to just go
Yeah,
into
we
the
should
end?
talk about
Let's
how
just
this
talk
movie
about the end.
finishes up.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why you just want to end this.
We talked about it kind of with a glow.
No, not really. I mean, so at the end, Eddie goes crazy and he kidnaps Laura
Mm-hmm.
and ties her up, and he puts on his own show because his whole thing is he wants to have his own. You know, he's lost it. He wanted his success through other people to use other people to get his fame and fortune.
Right,
So,
and then his girlfriend, like, you know, I think shows him the light, like, no, you're just in this shit for yourself, and he had
Exactly.
like something in his brain
yeah,
snaps.
because I am, and I'm just gonna be that. So
Yeah, and he's gonna own it. Plus, we didn't mention like I feel like his true snapping moment in this film is when Bruce Lee dunks his head in that tank that has
Yeah.
the weird
What is
mystery
that?
creature in there, and he was just like,
green.
I thought piranhas.
That's what I thought were piranhas.
Okay.
Like,
but
that
they kept
the-
referring
I thought
to
it was
it
like a
as
tub of acid
that
or something.
thing.
Yeah.
like it was a singular entity in
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, is his face gonna start melting or something? Because I thought that was like some
there.
acid.
Dude, I thought great acting on his part though, because when he got pulled out of the water, like the way he was like reacting to
Yeah.
the fact that he almost had his face chewed off, I thought was solid.
It
Like, it was a good
That's-
performance.
That's why I thought something was gonna happen from that.
But
I
yes,
was waiting for it.
I feel like that's his snapping point because then we end up at this point where he's now kidnapped. I can't remember fucking Vanity's character's
Laura.
name. Laura.
Laura, yeah.
He's kidnapped Laura, and yeah, he's like taking over her studio just so he can play his music. And while playing the music, he's like starts freaking out and fawning over some new fucking act as well. I'm just like,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Welcome back, Cody.
thanks, Cody.
Yes, that did happen.
You had a bit of dead air, I see. Is your mic working?
Yeah, he's obsessed with trying to be famous, make it famous. You know, so he.
Yeah, but he's teamed up with Shonuff at this point, and it's all in a big plot to eliminate Bruce Leroy. And they basically they track him to a warehouse where like the final showdown happens. And I was fucking pumped for this.
Can I
fight.
just say,
Mm-hmm.
did they make a video game out of this movie?
no.
Because they fucking should have. This would have been a
Uh,
super fun video game to play.
I definitely agree because
Thanks, Cody.
there's a moment where like a
Well-
bunch of people come out to fight.
Yeah.
His gang comes out, and they all look like Mortal Kombat villains
Right.
from like
Yeah.
the first one. There's one that
There's
like
a lot of-
I
totally looks
forgot
like a
about that.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm thinking like, did the fucking makers of Mortal Kombat watch this movie and go, guys,
I'm
here's
kinda-
the entire direction.
Yeah, I'm kind
Like,
of
we'll just
thinking.
do all these guys and put them all together. There's a guy that definitely has like a Kano mask where
Yeah.
it's like made of metal and it's only on one side of his face. Like
It
every
looked
one of them, I was
familiar.
like, is that Nighthawk?
I
It's fucking
immediately thought Mortal Kombat when we saw them
Yeah.
circled around.
I forgot
him
they're like
immediately.
they hired all these one of them was like a he killed some old woman or some shit. It's just like the random people. It's like you don't even probably have fighting skills. You just murdered someone, got away with it. But yeah, that scene happens, and then
So we get ass whoopings, then we see the glow in full effect when he fights Shonuff.
and
Who
it's revealed
also
that
has
Shonuff
the glow.
has the glow.
Yeah.
He has a version of it. It's not as powerful,
Well,
it
they
seems
make
like.
a comment earlier in the film.
I
at some
see your Schwartz is bigger than mine.
It's very much a Schwartz like moment. Yeah, it's like the same effects almost, really.
Yeah.
It really
no,
is.
but no, there's a comment that somebody makes. I can't remember if it's Bruce Leroy's master or Bruce Leroy himself, where he talks about like the glow can be from good or it can be from evil, and like one is working with it and the other one is like exploiting it or something like that. So
Yeah.
I understood that they were kind of setting up that like Shonuff is going to also have
Gotcha.
the glow. And
I
it
didn't
made
see it.
sense that
I
it was the
honestly
dark
didn't-
side glow.
But it's like,
Like,
I honestly didn't see it coming. You
Oh,
know?
really?
Yeah, and I was like, this
Same.
is fucking badass.
it could
This
be because
just
I've
got
seen
cool.
this film so many times. And I
Yeah.
don't remember a time when I didn't know that.
Yeah, but then then Bruce Leroy, just goes and catches a bullet with his teeth.
Well, they talk about
they
that
set
too.
that up.
They set that one up at the beginning.
Yep.
There's a scene where a
You
kid
didn't
goes.
see that coming? I saw that coming 600
Yeah,
miles
that-
away.
Where do they
it's
foreshadow that?
ridiculous.
They foreshadow it like the very beginning when Sho'nuff comes in there and somebody goes, "That's Bruce Leroy," and they're like giving like
Oh,
the
yeah.
background of him.
I
and he
heard
goes,
he could-
I heard he caught a bullet in his teeth.
That's right,
And they were
yeah.
like, "Nah," like,
Yeah.
and then he like does it.
Oh man, I missed it, but I remember now that you say that them talking about that at the beginning. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, what do you say we rate this Mammer Jammer?
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we have a decision to make here.
Okay.
Because
Battle of the fans.
both fans have their own recommendation for what we should rate it.
I have a solution.
Well, why don't we hear what these both are?
Well, because my solution would be half of us, because there's 4 of us, half of us do one and half of us do the other.
I was also going to recommend, because this might be funny, combining them both ideas into one
Yeah,
concept.
that'd be funny. Let's
So
let this happen.
James Hernandez's recommendation was just to rate it Shogun of Harlem,
Okay.
Okay.
and Wayne Halligan said cans of hairspray. So I was thinking cans of Sho'nuff.
Yeah, like put Sho'nuff
Cans
on
of
a,
Sho'nuff
Yeah, like
hairspray.
put
cans of
put
Sho'nuff hairspray.
Sho'nuff
Got it.
on a can, on an Aquanet can.
Yeah, I like it.
There you go.
Cans of Sho'nuff hairspray.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be
Let's-
tough. It's gonna be like 5 people doing a
It's
review.
easy.
It'd be like,
Oh, and I guess I should say
A
what they rated it,
screwdriver.
huh?
Yeah, let's see what
Well,
they rated.
actually, Wayne didn't give us a actual rating, but James rated it 5.
5 from James. Let's go to Kyle.
I think I'm gonna rate this 3.5 cans of Sho'nuff hairspray. Yeah, I'm really happy that that this movie was picked and that I was kind of forced to sit through it because I think the first time I watched it, I just mentally wasn't. I think what I was getting into was something that was more in line with Bruce Lee film in terms of like tone and getting a comedy of sorts out of it when that's not what you're in the mindset of wanting to watch at the time is why I turned it off. So I'm glad I sat through it. I found this movie really entertaining. I thought all the martial arts work in it was perfect. I'm trying to think of stuff that I didn't like about it, but I know that it's not a movie that I feel like I'm going to watch repeatedly. But iconic fucking character from Sho'nuff. I thought he was super entertaining anytime he's on screen. I guess if I'm going to mark it down anything, it's actually going to be music. Like
Yeah.
I felt like for Barry Gordy, I feel like I should have had some more iconic tracks that like immediately jumped out to me, and it was like stuff I was like, oh, "This is the fucking '80s, man. Shit."
B-sides.
Yeah, these are B-sides from the '80s. B-side demos. So yeah, I'm coming in 3.5 cans of Sho'nuff hairspray.
3.5 for Kyle. I'll go next. I am coming in at a 2.5. I don't know if it's just because I'm not a huge fan of the genre and maybe some of the jokes didn't land for me, but a lot of the jokes just did not land for me in this movie. Some of them did, most of them, and most of them was Sho'nuff did, and that's also one of my biggest problems with this film. When I'm cheering for the villain over the hero, that dynamic's not good. That's not a good dynamic to have, in my opinion. So now, I mean, henceforward, when anyone talks to me about this movie, it's not going to be Leroy Green that I'm talking about. It's going to be Sho'nuff.
Like
So-
everyone else.
Yeah, I see why, and that's a problem, man. When you're villain, it's like I don't watch Die Hard and hope that Bruce Willis loses. It's
Interesting.
and this one I'm cheering for the bad guy. So I don't know.
I always wear a Hans shirt when I watch Die Hard.
But it's got like you guys said, it's got good fight scenes in it. There is some funny stuff in it. There's some really entertaining stuff in it too. And I actually enjoyed the music. I thought that was one of the better points of it. Like I enjoyed the music, and I love how 80s it is. When it does turn 80s, man, it turns 80s hard. And I do love how 80s it gets. So 2.5 middle of the road for me. Let's go, Chris.
Yeah, I've been talking good about this movie all night, and I believe me, I went into watching this rushed, not looking forward to it, thinking it was going to be a film that I didn't like at all. Didn't have a good attitude about it, And then when 5 minutes into this movie, I was like, "Am I going to rate this 5 stars?" And as it progressed, I was like, man, I really like this movie. I really like these characters. I really like the music, even though it's kind of weird and doesn't work in some parts, and it is a kind of B-side. Like, I was like, that's fucking weird. And and it just like, for an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is, it's a pretty long movie. Like, I was thoroughly entertained, even by Bruce Lee, Bruce Leroy, excuse me. Sure enough, iconic villain. I agree he is the main villain of the film and the most memorable, but I did like Eddie's character as well. I thought he was zany and like kind of like the Joker, so a lot of things I really loved about this movie. I'm going to give this a 4.5 just because I think it does have pacing issues and there's some scenes I'm like, okay, whatever, like it's getting a little redundant, but overall thoroughly enjoyed this movie and had a great time watching it. So 4.5 cans of Show Enough Hairspray.
Mike?
I'm also giving this 4.5. Excuse me. I've loved this film since I was a kid. It's always been one of those films that anytime it's on, I'm like, I got to watch a little bit of it. I'm pretty much going to mirror a lot of what Chris said because I feel like this film shines on a lot of areas. I feel like there's a lot of when the music is good, it's really good, and when the music is bad, it's so bad it's good. So like it works on both levels for me. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of really like the soundtrack based on that. Same thing with the acting. Like there are weird moments where I'm like, this is some iconic, like really campy performances that are quite entertaining, and then there's some where they're so bad they're good. Like, so it's a good mixture of like interesting things there. But other than that, like, yeah, memorable characters. Obviously, Sure Enough is a totally famous villain. I don't know that I would agree that I was ever rooting for him. I mean, he was still the bad guy, and I think that Bruce Leroy is such a likable kind of guy, anyways. Because he's like Bruce Lee, but like not as Quentin Tarantino shows him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not the whole like fucking arrogant Bruce Lee. He's like all the good parts of where Bruce Lee is like teaching somebody some awesome shit. So yeah, I don't know if I can say anything more to this. I'm also agreeing with you. The half star is coming from the fact that there are some pacing issues. There are some times when I was watching this film and I was kind of like, all right, let's move on to that one part that I know is coming up soon. Like, yeah.
There's a couple of parts where I'm like, I feel like I can walk away and not miss something here.
I feel like a lot of the pacing issues, I'm glad you guys brought that up because that's something I forgot to add to my review, but I feel like a lot of them are around his brother, honestly.
Oh, I loved his brother, though.
I loved his brother, but like there was scenes where he was shining, and then there were scenes where it's just like, when he's like with his three buddies, I was just like, can we move the fuck on?
But like here's the other thing though too. What I like about it, like every little like beast story that happens in this, like they commit to. Like you can see the brother like, oh man, he likes fucking vanity, and Bruce Leroy's gonna swoop in.
Yeah.
You know she's not gonna be into him, and this is gonna be a point of conflict. Mm-hmm. And you know it. You can see that train coming. Like you know it's gonna get there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I guess you're right. Like his whole thing about putting down Bruce all the time got a little one jokey, I think.
Yeah. I had to look him up because I was like, did he go on to do other things as he grew up?
I feel like
he did not really. No, he doesn't even have a picture on IMDb. And I'm like, he's like one of the more solid actors in this movie, I feel like. So I was kind of shocked to find out that he really didn't do a lot after this.
On that positive note,
ended with this kid like listening to the podcast. He's now it's like 45. He's like, I went on. I did a lot.
He's
of good
a great
work.
actor.
Did a lot of good work, man. This guy didn't even give me the recognition.
Is our show for this week. Do me a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. If you do, we will give you a shout out at the end of the show. And then also make sure you head over to cultfilmandreview.com and you get your request in for films for us to review. And then after that, head over to social media. You can follow us at cultfilm_review on Twitter. Also, cultfilminreview on Instagram. Then we're on Facebook. And then you can follow Kyle.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris at
cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Mike
at Mike Salucio on Twitter.
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Snapchat and Instagram. That's our show for this week. Remember, guys, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next time.